everyone here is happy. Gordon, Kramer,
Here.
Matt, here, Morris.
Here.
If you forgot to approve the agenda, any known changes to the agenda?
No changes.
I shall patience. Yes, so we do not have, we'll add that and we'll do it right after, we'll add the pledge for it. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda? So moved. Second. All right, motion by Morris, second by Matthew. Gordon. Kramer.
Yeah.
Matthew.
Yes.
Morris.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go ahead, do the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it serves, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have, there's anybody that'd like to speak tonight?
That's me. I want to thank the city, talked to you last Monday about the weeds out in Old Mill Creek. We out to the city, Cammy was on top of it and they got mowed and they're down, and I think the only question I've got is if there's something a little bit more proactive with the developers so that they don't get 3 feet tall before the city has to send them a note to go through and mow them, because we've already had them spreading it throughout the neighborhood with, as it gone, I really don't need Brad in my yard either this year.
Is there anything, Cammy, that we typically do as far as getting out? I know it's, as we get concerns, I know we've handled it over lots in the past. Is there any routine checks that we do to send out at the time?
These are undeveloped lots. And I work with each of the developers, usually give a courtesy email. And typically it depends on weather, how wet it is for them to get out there. This particular developer I put on notice last fall, the expectation, because they were a little lax last year. So I put them on notice last fall of what our expectations are. So I'll stay on top of it.
Thanks for.
Thank you. I appreciate that you guys were on top of it and got it done with expeditious. It was a problem last year, so I just don't want to just. I'm going to share again.
Is there anybody else speaking? Next, we have consent agenda, so it's the approval of the minute from May 20th, 2026. Regular meeting, approval of the list of bills, treasurer's reports, transfers, building permits. Beer and liquor license, we have Big Grove Brewery, Buffs Game Day, and Uncle Sam's. And then we also have the beef days, leaks.
I have a question for those that sit there. Tell me about the wing blade repair for 18,500.
Brand new wing blade.
Oh, brand new, okay.
Brand new.
Smooth, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Gotcha.
Mine was shot. So
Sure. They'll make it up cheaper to buy a new.
Well, yeah, I was just, it said repair on your.
yeah, well, I mean, it's a repair, but.
Yeah, gotcha. No problem.
Any other questions, comments on any of the items under consent agenda?
The 3 that are seeking approvals are fine, I take it.
No issues.
Thank you.
With that, I guess with the VJ's lease, any major callouts, anything different from previous years?
No, pretty standard. This is, it's a 5-day lease, generally allows for setup. And, this is required as part of their liquor license to lease the property that they're gonna have that area. And then also just for setup and tear down.
With that, we have a motion to consent the agenda.
Motion to consent. Approved or whatever.
All right, motion by Matthew, second by Kramer. Gordon? Yeah. Kramer?
Yeah.
Matthew?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
All right, takes us to item 6, fire department report. Great.
We have election officers, and nothing changed. So city still have to appoint fire chief?
No.
Not anymore, okay, I didn't know if that changed. Other than that, busy, as always, they say that every month, but it is true.
Sheriff's office report. If they're tied up this evening, is there anything that we want to report back to the sheriff's office?
Kids on screen.
There's gonna be a problem. Well, that's, yeah.
I've had so many people, it's like, how do we enforce it?
We asked that question.
But if you give your kid a scooter that goes 30 miles an hour, you're creating a problem.
Yeah, you're, asking for issues.
You haven't seen the guy on YouTube who goes 80 down for stabbing in court, Bill?
On a scooter.
Mhm. Yep, on this handlebar with the feet on there.
I can go that fast.
Oh yeah, they go up to 90 that some of them can.
Oh, gee.
I don't think we.
That's got UACPR written all over it.
At least it's close.
It's rats and Oregon.
Oh, wait until like the state does something about it to define as a motor vehicle or something like that.
Especially
Um,
in that case, yeah.
I was gonna say, we are not unique. This
Yeah.
is conversation all over the state. There are a few cities that have attempted to draft some ordinances.
Yep, yeah, so this is the third city that's brought it up in the last week. We have, the Des Moines Metro has some ordinances passed and part of the thing is they're trying to make these ones that really go fast, they go down to be a max of 20 or 30, depending on where they are, so, of course, you gotta enforce that, that's not exactly, these things, the real fast ones, not licensed, not insurance, no, you don't have any, there's nothing, the state is falling behind on what. There was a bill that was circulating, but it didn't get passed this year, so the state's kind of falling behind on how to define these and what kind of rules they want to put on.
So Kevin, if someone is going over the speed limit, there's nothing, right? I mean, nothing.
I think you can pull them over because they're using the road and they're not, just like a bike. Somebody goes through a stop sign on the
Sure.
bike, you could pull them over, but
Sure.
I think good luck picking up on LiDAR or radar.
yeah, I don't know how that works
No
with,
reflection for that LiDAR technology to come back, so it'd be
Sure.
visual observation.
There's probably no way to enforce it except for pellet law.
there is no helmet law and we tried, the state tried. The state tried after Carolyn Found's tragedy and they said it was freedom of choice for everybody. So you couldn't even get it for under 18. So they won't do it.
Wow.
So parental guidance is needed for that.
Next, item 8, the public works superintendent report. Guys?
Yeah, midweek, Monday, Tuesday, First Street Road portion is done. And it turned out great. All the patches in town are done. So we will work on getting those like lines painted again on the patches that like have lines. And that one's done on First Street. So we will see, install that once it's gonna rain, we're gonna do it now. And yeah, now we're just catching up on pothole and other projects, so. The water tower project's moving forward, we're drained it, last night. Had a couple of phone calls, when they thought it was water main break, it was just water draining. Came and checked them out anyways, because we never know. So yeah, we're running 100% on system pressure out of the ground storage tank. Everything seems to be running fine. Keep our fingers crossed and we'll discuss a little bit more on what's going on with the tank here. Just rough.
Okay, next item 9, the rec director report. Brody?
Hey guys, so I just threw a little thing together. So some of the new programs that we started the last few months, or we've completed. Last weekend, the city, the rec department ran, I think, our first ever travel baseball tournament down at the park. We did 7 AU coach pitch baseball tournament and had 8 teams. Started at 9 o'clock, we're out of there by 3 o'clock. It was actually really smooth, ran the concession stand. Everyone said they want to be back next year, so it was really, I don't know, it was a good time and we made a couple $1,000, so yeah. At the end of the summer in July, we're gonna try youth sand volleyball league. We already do an adult volleyball league down there. We just redid those courts last year, so we're trying to get a little more use out of them. And the nets go up and down, so we can lower them down to a youth level, so that kids can utilize the courts too. And then last week during week of Memorial Day, we started our first ever youth disc golf tournament. Kids can just come pick the scorecard at the community center. It's $5 to play. You play, they play the course twice. You play 18 holes, report back the score, and then we had some H brackets. And then the kids that won are going to get a gift card to Shields. So I think we had 12 or so kids, but obviously kids down there playing, so we figured try it out. And then a couple of new activities that we started this year, senior fitness. We did that Tuesdays and Thursdays. That was kind of in conjunction with Jill Wheatman and some of the other senior activities. And we consistently had probably 20 people show up to that. We're taking a pause on it for the summer just because there's no AC in the gym at the community center and just everyone's busy doing stuff. But that was a big one. And then we do matinees on Monday, the first Monday of the month for, I mean, seniors, but anyone can show up, 2 o'clock in the auditorium at the community center. And yesterday or 2 days ago we showed up and I had, around 6 or 7 people there. So we pop popcorn and, everyone kind of seems to enjoy it. So, I put on our numbers from all the spring and summer activities. Seems like numbers staying pretty consistent. Spring soccer is usually our highest participated sport just because there's no other club activities to compete with it. We end up having 10 more kids this year than we normally do, and that would be from preschool all the way up to 6th grade. T-ball is pretty consistent. Baseball and softball numbers are kind of low, but that's because we have all the club teams in town. All the club teams end up renting fields from us anyway, so it ends up working itself out there. And then some new projects and things we got going on right now is Public Works helped install a new drinking fountain down at the SRNA. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but it's got the dog bowl, it's got the water bottle filler, and it's got the fountain part. Everyone that I've seen using it, especially with their dogs, loves it. We ended up getting a grant from Beat Days and then the Women's Club to get another one to put in Randall Park. Because I guess we do not have a working water fountain down there right now, and there's always a ton of people at Randall Park. And then we got some new disc golf signage down at the park. That was partially donated by the Solon Area Community Foundation. They look really slick, so if you guys are ever down there, go check them out. The new drag, obviously, it's been awesome. It's been helping preserve the fields we put money into the last few years. It keeps everything level. And it's got a bunch of tools and things. We're still figuring out, some of the new tools and stuff with it, but and then we are in the process of getting that big soccer field at the park resurfaced, in conjunction with school. Crafta Landscaping, he's down there. He's been starting to work on it last week, I think. So hopefully next year, all the bare spots and all the spots with weeds are kind of cleared up, and it should be a nice soccer field. So other than that, it's kind of all I got going on right now. But yeah, if you guys ever have any questions or anything, let me know. And I see Matt all the time down at the park with all of his kid stuff. So.
The Shields give you those gift cards?
So Shields gives me every year, they give me a $2,000 gift card to spend. And I use the gift card to get gift cards for prizes, but it's mainly just for like our youth sports.
Sure.
So we get, I think it's 20% off on all like sports equipment. And then, the gift card can be used on anything, but 20% off, like specifically for like balls and stuff like that. But they're really good about helping us out with stuff. And then I guess one more thing, the rec department is going to run fishing derby here. Chris and I are going to kind of head that up for Beat Days. So I think they used to run one, but we're going to bring it back and try it out just fine. So hopefully it goes well.
Other than 20% off fishing equipment.
Well, I'm gonna ask about that. I'm gonna reach out to that, get Feather, and just all the other places down here. Hopefully we get something.
I met with Jill Wheatman and those guys.
Yeah.
She said they're keeping you guys in the loop of their thoughts and. Okay, good deal.
She actually ran like a senior expo at the community center.
Yeah.
It went really well. Just showing any seniors in town in the area, just what activities and different things we have, services and things we have for people in the area, and sounded like it was very well received. So
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah.
Okay, city engineer report. This is Dave.
Yep, he's on.
I am. Good evening. The only thing I have is a quick update on the wastewater plant project. We're in detailed design phase, and we're laying out equipment, sizing and routing piping, working on some elevations and checking flow conditions. Staff is going to join us tomorrow for a tour of the Coralville wastewater treatment facility. And Kevin, I haven't forgot about you. We will get you a legal description for that undeveloped area for the waiver, hopefully this week. That's all I have.
All right, thanks, Dave. Item 11, city attorney recommend. All right, takes us down to old business, so item 12, ordinance, it's water rate, ordinance. Second reading. Any changes from?
No, but if you don't mind, I'll take a few moments to recap because we were having technical difficulty for that meeting and that way it'll be available for folks who can, zoom into this meeting later. So this is a ordinance that related to water, and then there's a companion ordinance for sewer. These are for the sewer rates, water and sewer rates, and these ordinances are adjusted annually, typically by 2% to account for just general operations. What's unique to these ordinances is that historically, the city of Solon has billed for 0 to 1,500 gallons as their minimum bill. This is going to change as of July to 0 to 100, or I'm sorry, to 1,000 gallons. In addition, there's going to be some changes to the sewer debt fee is going to go from, it's currently $15 per month, and it's gonna go to $26 per month. And the sewer user fee is currently $5 a month, and that's going to $11.50 a month. The foundation of all of these rate changes and the structure change has to do directly with the wastewater treatment plant project, which is scheduled to begin construction next year. Completion in July of 2029. City's been preparing for this project for several years, and the city council has been, this city council and past city councils have been very focused and diligent on creating the best financial position that the city can be in to borrow the $37.5 million that the plant's gonna cost. Part of that strategy for financing is a revenue bond, which is paid directly from the water and sewer fees that are collected, and a general obligation bond, which allows the city to borrow 5% of our debt limit, which is about 21 million total. So that does not cover the full 37.5 million. So that's gonna, a part of the GO can go toward the project. And then the city council has been setting aside reserves for the past several years to in interest-bearing accounts so that cash can be brought to the table to help offset the overall project costs. These rates specifically, sewer is based on water rates. So we don't know how much is going down a sewer, but we know how much is coming out of the faucet, and it typically goes down the sewer. So when we bill for water from 0 to 1,500 gallons now, there's a base rate, and that's called a minimum bill. And then anything over that is billed at a different rate. And for this, currently, 1,500 gallons is billed at $6.40, or I'm sorry, the first 1,500 gallons is billed at, for water is $13.65, and that's gonna go to $13.92. However, that minimum is gonna change from 0 to 1,500, from 0 to 1,000. And then the 2% increase on water. Then when you go look at your sewer bill, you're also gonna see the 2%. And the minimum's also gonna change from 0 to 1,500, from 0 to 1,000. And then on the sewer bill, you'll have the additional sewer debt fee going from $15 to $26, and the sewer user fee going from $5 to $11.50. We have put together a flyer or a mailer that's going to go out to every household. We'll be getting that ready to go out next week. That explains all this, and we'll also have it on the city website. And these rates will go into effect as of the July billing that people will get at the end of July.
Thanks for recapping that again. Any questions from anybody? Okay. A motion for the second reading of ordinance 496. Okay. A motion by Gordon, second by Kramer. Gordon? Kramer?
Yeah.
Mackey?
Yep.
Morris?
Yes.
497, you can recap that with the water ordinance, the water rate ordinance. So do we have a motion for the second reading of ordinance 497?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Kramer, second by Morris. Gordon? Kramer?
Yeah.
Mackey? Yes. Morris?
Yes.
Thought you were on the fence.
No.
Takes us to, new business, item 14, the water tower program. Dave, you want to kick it off or?
Now, to introduce Rob and then run with it.
I'm Rob, I'm with Viking, we're working on the water tower out there. So I came tonight to kind of review what the contract is, sounds like there's a few new faces here. So I just wanted to explain that to you guys versus having just a 5-page contract with a bunch of words on it. Explain how that works, and then I'll talk a little bit about the water tower project itself. As far as the maintenance contract goes, I kind of started that discussion with Scott and Fleppy several years back. Came up and inspected the tank, came up with a list of things that needed to happen with it, and of course, paint was a big part of that. And we had a lot of discussion about the best ways to tackle that, because, you know, you can blast the tank like we're doing, you can overcoat it, or, you know, it just depends on your tolerance for risk and how often you want to paint it again. And through our conversations, it was kind of decided that blasting was the best option, because it was, you know, some major adhesion problems up on the belly. So what blasting does is it removes all the paint down to bare steel, and then we put a new modern coating system on it that is gonna last a long time. And the need for blasting won't happen in anyone's lifetime in this room. I'll get into that. The next time it has to be painted, it'll be a simple overcoat where some guys will be up there with rollers rolling on an overcoat. So a lot less disruptive than what you're seeing out there right now. Longevity.
You use that word that always catches it. I hear those words a long time.
Yeah. I guess my version of long time might be different than yours, so I'll explain. The coating system that we're putting on the outside is the top of the line system available on the market for, speaking in generic coatings types, not, you know, a specific manufacturer. It's a fluoropolymer. That's the best technology in protective coatings as far as the color and gloss retention goes. We're putting a zinc primer on the steel, which gives you your corrosion protection, so that all else fails, the zinc is there to protect the steel from rusting and going away. On top of that, you'll have intermediate coat like epoxies, polyurethane. That gives you good film build. It protects the zinc from corrosion, because the idea with zinc is zinc corrodes before steel does. So the zinc would sacrifice itself to the steel before the steel can corrode. So you have to protect the zinc. And then on top of that is the fluoropolymer. The life expectancy of a coating system like that is 20 plus years. You might get on like the red, you might see some fading sooner than that, but on a white, you know, overall white tank with black, 20 plus years. The manufacturer that we're using, I don't have a picture with me, but they have one of the first tanks they ever painted with it 30 years ago in an off-white color. And they have pictures that they took last year of it, and it's still, there's no rusting, there's no, you know, surface rusting coming through or anything like that. It still looks very good. So that's what was selected for the outside of the tank. minimize how many times this has to happen. This paint job that's gonna go on right now can get overcoated with another coat of paint 4, 5, 6 times before it would have to be blasted again, and we'll all be dead by the time that happens. So, because we can use that same kind of paint, and as technology goes on, it's only gonna get better in the coatings world. It's come miles.
Is there anything from like a yearly, and maybe you'll get to it in an episode, I can wait on that, but just from like a washing or things like that to help keep the tower clean as well?
Yeah, so the need to keep it clean is gonna be greatly reduced with that paint, because it's, the reason it grows, you know, gets that black stuff on there is you get porous paint that holds moisture, and then the dirt collects on it, and then it turns into just, well, dirt, and then biological growth happens. I mean, algae and things like that. When the coating sheds the water, it doesn't get dirty near as fast. But yeah, there's pressure washing that can happen. I wouldn't expect that to need to happen for probably 8 years after this or more. Especially with the color scheme that we're doing here. So the tank itself is gonna shed water better, which is gonna keep it cleaner naturally. The paint that's on there right now is past its expected service life. It's very chalked out, and porous and just impossible to keep clean. And what would have happened if we would have, you know, the whole thing started with Scott calling me and saying, hey, I wanna get my tank pressure washed. And I came out and looked at it, and I could tell that if we pressure washed it, we would remove a lot of paint on there and look awful and force you into a situation where you're having to paint it. So it just kind of accelerated the conversation. As far as the interior goes, same thing, we're gonna use a zinc primer inside there, and then an epoxy over the top of that. When it comes to linings in immersion like that, they all have to meet AWWA standards and NSF. NSF is you know, the ultimate determining place that can tell you what you can put in there. They recently had a revision to the requirements for NSF linings in I think it was 2023, where they eliminated just a whole bunch of different chemicals, and all these manufacturers had to go back to the drawing board and revamp some of their coatings that makes this coating safer for immersion and drinking water. You know, when you put a tank lining in like that, you are essentially putting chemicals inside the tank to protect the steel and keep your water clean. So once the inside is painted, there's a cure time that has to happen before it can go back into service and have water in it. So after they paint it, it's gonna be, you know, it's weather dependent, but it's usually 7 days that it's gonna have to sit there empty, ventilated, to let the paint cross-link, as they call it, so that it's fully cured and it's not gonna be leaching anything into the water once you fill it up and put it in the surface. So that's kind of what that looks like. This contract that you guys are in, I'm gonna give you a brochure, you can read it. You guys are more familiar with it, but basically, it's a transfer of responsibility and risk for the care and maintenance of your tank to us, and you pay a fee. One thing that's kind of unique with your contract versus some of them we do, some of them, we enter into these agreements long before the tank ever has to get painted, so there's kind of a grace period there where all we're doing is coming and cleaning the tank and doing our annual inspections, and then, you know, 5 years down the road, we're doing something like this. You guys jumped right into the fire immediately with a huge renovation right out of the gate. What it'll look like moving forward is every year, we're gonna come out and inspect the tank. We're gonna climb it, inspect it, take about 150 pictures, and then put together an inspection report. Maybe you guys have seen mine from the past, but there'll be a binder that you'll get that shows the current condition of the tank, anything that we notice that needs to be serviced, and you know, in a few years, we may see some rust spots here and there that need to be touched up. We make you aware of that, but that's our responsibility to take care of those. The service contract is, you can think of it like an unlimited perpetual warranty as long as you stay in the contract. If all that paint that we're putting on the tank falls off in 2 years for one reason or another, whether it's bad material, bad prep, or whatever it is, it's our responsibility, not yours. We have to take care of it, and that's just built into the contract. So it provides the city with the peace of mind that the tank is gonna be taken care of. There's someone that's gonna call you to do the inspections and cleanouts rather than you having to remember when the last time you did it was and make that phone call and pay the bill. And then you know exactly what the tank is gonna cost you years into the future. That's all predetermined. So the risk for even just inflation and things like that is on us. When we came up with the contract pricing, we assumed all that risk and that's all built in there. So highly predictable. Myself, I guess I didn't even tell you, I take care of just the state of Iowa, but I live in Palo, so I'm actually pretty close to you guys. So never too far away. As far as this project goes, it's a huge project when you blast a tank, as you've probably seen right now. The stage they're at, they're really just getting set up. They put those big beams up on the tank. Those are outriggers that's gonna hold out the containment work. The next step is they're gonna string a bunch of cables from the ground up to the tank, through the middle, and then we have what we call a tree that's gonna go up there. All the cables, 20, 30 of them meet in the center of the tree. And we actually have cut a hole in the belly of the tank. And all those cables go down to the ground. And then if you drive by there, you'll see a huge electric motor sitting outside the tank. That's called a tugger. So that will sit outside the base cone of the tank. All the cables will hook into that tugger. And then that huge motor is what's gonna raise and lower the curtain as needed. Whenever they're blasting out there, the curtain's gonna be up, there's a bonnet that goes over the top, it'll be minimal to zero dust outside of there. It's going to be very loud. I don't know if anyone's ever been around large industrial sandblasting equipment, but it moves a lot of air and a lot of blast media very quickly, and it's ear piercingly loud. Fortunately, it doesn't take that long because we do use huge equipment. But it's gonna be several days, weather dependent of some pretty loud disruption over there, and there's really just no way around it. The process is loud. But once that's done.
And this made the Bridge Bank and the care center aware of the noise.
Yes, Cammy and Dave have been in contact with them, and we're actually gonna set up a weekly call with them and a couple other people, just kind of talk about progress and what to expect as things move forward.
You say ear piercingly, but you have a decimal level that that's comparative.
I can get that for you, but I don't have the top of my head. It's when you're standing, from here to those trees away, it's not quite as bad. The guys that are in there, it's pretty awful, but yeah, you'll hear it quite far away from the tank. It'll be, loud enough that you're gonna hear it away from the tank. So, we'll talk to the bank and the care center about what to expect there. Like I said, there's not a quiet way to do this kind of work, unfortunately. But it's necessary. So a lot of what we do is gonna be weather dependent. So you might see days where they're not doing much. We have to wait for conditions. Even if we just got a whole bunch of rain and it's extremely humid and they're at a point where they have to be putting on coatings, they have to wait for the humidity to get to a certain point before they can start painting. Anything that gets sandblasted, it has to be directly followed by paint or it's gonna start to rust immediately. So all that stuff has to time out. You've got clear times in between coats, and then especially when we get to the interior, we've got a time in there, which you guys are fortunate, you have a good system. It sounds like it's operating exactly how it's supposed to, but there's gonna be a time in there where we're all done and packed up and mostly off the site, and the tank is gonna be sitting there empty for that clear time. But we will let you know when it's okay to fill. fill that up.
Is that something where you come back and inspect to make sure that it's cured, or something where you've done enough
You've
homework?
done enough, it's a mathematical thing, and we play it on the safe side. Usually, we rely on the manufacturer data that says, 7 days at 72 degrees. Well, then we're monitoring conditions through the day and night to know that, well, geez, it's 90 during the day, that actually speeds up the cure when it's 90 versus it gets down to 50 at night, that slows it down a little bit, so. Yeah, we've never really had an issue with that. We always give it the manufacturer's recommended, because that's what NSF requires, for leach testing.
So how, ideal weather?
Yep.
2 weeks, 2 months?
Project start to finish, 2 months, I would say.
So next year, you're not gonna do a lot of that. We're still gonna pay you a pretty good sum. Somebody's gonna ask me, what are we doing? I'm gonna ask you, next year, what are you gonna do?
You're paying for all future work as well. And whether that work happens, whether we gotta paint it again in 5 years or 15 years, you're paying for that, and we're gonna do it. And the year that we do it, we're not asking you for more money. That fee is all inclusive of all future work that has to happen on the tank. So it's a transfer of risk and responsibility to us. And we will paint it well before you guys ever would, because that's the cheapest time to paint it, is when it's still looking good, and it's not gonna take a ton of prep for us and risk having to blast it.
One of the things that we did when we went into this agreement is a couple of years ago, when we first got started, it was, we like the predictability with it, and that we wouldn't have to come up with, oh, next year we need to paint it, we need to come up with $300,000 or $400,000 next year. It was a way to have it predictable for our budget and stay on top of it. And with them being experts in maintenance of it, that's something where we kind of hand over the transfer, kind of the risk.
What local towns are you in contract with?
We have several hundred contracts locally. I've got, well, Halo is in one, Bennett, Danville. I mean, I probably have around 100 around the state of Iowa. We
I don't
have,
not saying that you don't do an outstanding job, but if somebody down the road is kind of a repetitive thing, we need to rethink contract, what's the termination fee?
there is no fee.
There's no,
90-day written notice. Yeah. I don't have your contract in front of me, so I don't remember the exact terms of the payment and everything, but once you get into just the annual fee where it's the same amount every year, it's an annual, if you wanna cancel, it's 90 days written notice. So, yeah, it's not bound to a certain amount of years unless we did, some kind of cost spread where we said, all right, we're taking this $500,000 and spreading it out over 8 years. Can't terminate in the middle of that, but.
So I'll go back to it. What is, a year from now, visual inspection, what does that really mean?
Visual inspection means we're gonna have a crew come out here and they're gonna visually inspect this tank. And the reason we say that is there's 3 different kinds of inspections that we normally do. There's drain down, clean out, where Dave's gotta drain the tank down. We have to go in there, clean out all the sediment. Do actually inside the bowl of the tank inspection, do whatever touch-ups we need to, and then get it ready to put back into service. There's a ROV inspection, which if you guys ever feel the need for that, I keep an ROV with me and I can do that, but it's a little robotic submarine that we put down in there, takes really good 4K videos and images. If we suspect some kind of problem, or maybe during a visual inspection, I see something that looks a little strange in there, I can drop the ROV down in there. Otherwise, the visual inspection is where we're coming out, assessing the conditions of the coatings, the mill thickness, looking for any potential areas that are failing or we suspect might fail, on the exterior of the tank, the interior dry, and interior wet area, and reporting back to you on those conditions or any repairs, say the wind blew the vent loose or something like that.
Okay,
Make sense?
yeah.
Any questions?
The mill, that when you say mill, since you're doing that visually now with the equipment.
No, we're doing that with, an electronic, milk thickness gauge. Delta salt thick that being is on there. Which that shouldn't change much. When I get here, but.
What time is start times? Finish time during the day?
Well, is there any kind of ordinance?
Yeah, we talked about that with the crew.
Okay.
7:30 is not construction time, normal in town. They would like to be able to work. If it is allowed, you know, if weather permits, they would like to work 7 days a week to keep moving this forward, so. We're gonna, Sunday we'll adjust the time because, you know, 7 days a week at 7:30 is annoying for a lot of people real quick. But it's in our best interest to let them move through this as fast as they possibly can. Yeah, it's still for, you know, I believe they're gonna put in a quality product, but we want them to expedite through this. We'd hate to have it drag out for 4 or 5 months, because
Sure.
we can only work 3 hours a day.
That would losing Sunday be detrimental to, the cost or.
It would probably drag it out, but it all is depending on, the weather. You know, if Sundays are, you know, there might be days that they don't work at all.
Right.
Especially this coming to week, doesn't look too
Yeah.
promising.
So. They did ask for Sundays as part of the deal, and right now it's kind of see how it goes, kind of a plan. It's just a hard thing to swallow, but it's really has to be done, and it's.
Well, my big thing is just being that close to care.
I know.
That's just, you're right under it.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the most noise.
I've had them, at every single meeting, I've reached out.
Yeah, because there's nothing you can do to
No.
deter the sound, it's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
Can happen, and you can have to treat people because that's the nature of the beast over there.
Right.
So yeah, we're definitely communication and, go with it and see where it needs to be adjusted as we get into this.
As far as in time, I assume guys are potentially working 12-hour days.
Yeah, they'll wanna work as late as they can. You know, obviously with the sun setting, I don't think they're gonna be working till 9 or something, but again, we would rely on input from you guys, because we don't want. You know, they need to have a reasonable amount of time to work during the day, especially when the weather's good, but I also don't think it would be appropriate to be blasting it.
Not like there's a.
You know, they start mellowing out down there about 6:30, so.
Yeah.
We'll just-
Mealtime.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, you know, once they're done working for the day, there's a certain amount of work that has to happen just to clean up the site and get it ready for tomorrow, so I don't think that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
Other questions or comments?
Did we get, this is probably not dealing with you, but did we get the problem that they take care of with the lower ruining his grass?
Yeah,
That I think are,
but it's not, we haven't.
but you got it all
Yeah,
handled.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. When this is all said and done. Be well aware of what we're gonna do for him.
Sure, okay, good deal, good deal.
Well, thank you so much for coming out and looking forward to seeing the finished product.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
That takes us to item 15, resolution 2626, street closure for weekdays.
Yeah, this is a standard, street closure resolution, and this is, reflective of beef days in July, and it does accommodate, shutdown on Wednesday like usual. Closing the street, closing Main Street, for preparation in the beef days event.
Questions, or concerns over? This one. All right. All right, motion by Gordon, second by Kramer. Gordon,
Yes.
Kramer? Yes. Mackey? Yes. Morris?
Yes.
All right, take us to other business, so, council, committees. Amy, you want to just kind of run through the list for us? We got some updates on that?
Yeah, sure. Streets Committee met after the last meeting. It was, kind of a catch up on, from last fall, when projects were kind of set into motion for spring, bring the, new committee members up to speed, talk about any new concerns, kind of prioritize projects. So, had a good meeting. Anybody, I mean, any highlights, Tim or Andrew? Ryan, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was productive.
Okay, so got some things we're got keeping our eye on, obviously. We're gonna be kind of prioritizing getting a list of curb and gutter. The plan is to double up on curb and gutter this year and next year. So we're getting our list together, what's gonna be the priority. So plan on, that group will probably be meeting again, in July, so we usually do that work after beef days. Curb and gutter work. And then, let's see, finance. We're gonna get the final version of the mailer out to the finance committee this week for them to look at it. We got, a few more CDs that we gotta address this week, and also, personnel. It's time for my review, and I know that, the mayor relies on the personnel committee for input on that. And then there also is a closed session with the full council. That'll be coming up. Building and needs, they're gonna be meeting this evening, following this meeting. SRNA draft agreement, I know that the mayor has been working with, Library Board President Tim Brown on this, just some tweaking of some final language, so I think there's a draft that should be coming to the full council soon. Community center meeting, also meeting after this meeting. There is, we're at that place where we're trying to find a path. We know a new recreation center is needed. We're trying to find the path. Is there an opportunity to, for a private avenue, versus a public project? And Kevin's been doing the research on that, and he's got some information he wants to share with the committee on options. And then the fringe area agreement. Have you heard anything?
We're just gonna make sure this gets done before they switch over to the next supervisors for next year. Get it done this year.
You haven't heard any feedback from Lynn?
No.
Okay.
All right, thank you for all those updates. Takes us to item 17, city clerk report, Susan. Item 18, the meeting of your comments.
Yeah, just wanted to remind everybody that Music on Main kicks off tonight. Thank you to Nancy Uppmeyer for pulling off another great year. Main Street looks amazing. In fact, town looks amazing. Between Kroll Farms, city staff watering the flowers, all the mowing that's been done, and of course, Tom's wife Rhonda, who volunteers her time for planting a lot of the flowers around town. Everything's looking great for summer in Solon. Also wanted to remind everybody that it is garage sale weekend. I have talked to the garbage company, reminded them that they need to get in and out quickly on Friday. So they do.
Yeah. Great idea. Monday morning on Facebook's gonna be awesome.
They got out early.
Thanks, Jamie. Next is council comments, council?
No. Just what I was asking for.
I do not have any comments either, which take us to the motion to adjourn.
So.
Second. All right, motion by Morgan, second by Mackey, all in favor, say aye. Aye. The opposed? No.